Solving radical equations. If we're faced with a radical equation, something along the lines of a minus square root a minus 3 equals 9. The process for solving this is actually fairly straightforward, but the first thing that we need to do is we need to isolate the radical. Get it by itself on its own side. Everything that's not inside a radical needs to go to the other side. And so we can accomplish this in a couple of ways. Do I want to move the radical to the right? Do I want to keep it on the left? It doesn't matter. I'm going to move it over to the right. And so we'll get a minus 9 equals square root of a minus 3. Okay, so now that we have this, all we need to do is square both sides of the equation. So we're going to have a minus 9 squared equals square root a minus 3 squared. And so on the left, we need to FOIL that out. So that's going to be a squared minus 18a plus 81. And on the right, the square root and the squared just cancel each other out. A minus 3. Okay, so now what we have is just a polynomial equation. So now we go back to how do we solve polynomial equations. And since this is degree 2, we have a couple of options. The easiest of which is probably just get them all to the same side and then see if we can factor it. And so if we subtract a off of both sides and add 3 to both sides, we get a squared minus 19a plus 84 equals 0. And this does actually factor, so we need a product of 84 and a sum of negative 19. And so 84 is 7 times 12, and 7 times 12 add up to 19, so that's perfect for us. This is going to be a minus 7, a minus 12 equals 0. So a equals 7, or a equals 12. Now before, in solving any equations that we had, there was never any doubt that our solutions were correct solutions. We could always go back and check to see if we made a mistake along the way, but that was always an optional step. For radical equations, it's really important that you actually do go back and check, because even if we've done all the work correctly, sometimes we get false solutions. And so if we check a equals 7, we're going to get 7 minus square root 7 minus 3 equals 9. So we're going to get 7 minus square root of 4 equals 9. So 7 minus 2 equals 9, which is not true. So that's not a solution. So 7 turned out to be a false solution in this case. So now let's try the other one. If we plug in 12, we get 12 minus square root 12 minus 3 equals 9. So we get 12 minus square root of 9 equals 9, which is 12 minus 3 equals 9, which is correct. So 7 was a false solution, 12 was an actual solution, so this equation only has the single solution, a equals 12. So let's go back through the steps. First thing we need to do to solve a radical equation is we need to isolate the radical. If there are two radicals in an equation, we just need to isolate one of them. Then we square both sides, and there'll still be a radical. Then we isolate that one, and then square both sides. So we isolate the radical, square both sides, solve it just like we normally would before. But at the end, it's important we have to go back and check our solutions to see if any of them were false solutions.